I don't know what that was.
I'm here. I'm sorry for your loss. It's the body dead in the car, and it's probably one of yours. The writing all across the window walls. Whether it was true or false, we shouldn't have got involved. Remember, we walked past the teacher, take the chalk and laugh. We wrote punishment. I was not talking class. Now it's crystals punishing people for talking fast. And all these innocent bystanders is hauling ass. I hate to say I told y'all, but I told y'all things fall apart when it's in a 2 week to hold y'all. I'm just collecting what you owe to my old jaw. You about to get swooped down on and stole.
All right, this is first episode of Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. My name is Julian. I'm Ace, the Blue Collar Intellectual, and today I will be interviewing Coach Felecia Killings, the founder of the Conscious Conservative Network. Give you a little ditty about myself for a moment. I'm a medically retired Marine, military police. For the veterans in the audience that may be tuning in or watching this later, not that kind of military police. I'm a saw gunner, OIF vet, born in England. Both parents are vets, Air Force. Born on a military installation in England. Moved to Wright-Patterson Air Force Center in Dayton, Ohio. Then up to New Hampshire, then out to North Carolina, South Carolina, Missouri, and eventually Camp Pendleton, California. And I got my guest. Hey, Coach.
Yay!
All right, Coach is in the house.
Is it working well?
It's working great. This app I'm using is a hell of a lot better than the one I originally had.
Okay.
I had Melon before, and that it just wouldn't even load. It was horrible.
Oh,
But how you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great day.
Awesome. I might have to look into this. What is this? StreamYard?
Yeah, StreamYard. It was easy. I literally clicked like maybe 3-4 times, and it was already set up and ready to go.
Awesome. I gotta figure this one out too.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm definitely gonna have to upgrade it so I can customize the channel a little bit better and stuff.
Yeah.
And put my logo and everything on it.
Yeah, that'll good. That'll do. That'll work. Awesome.
So how you been?
It's been good. It's been busy. Twitter class has been angry.
Well, people need to calm down, and they need to realize that. I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks, and we told them exactly how this show's going to work out. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, even with some of the evidence, and after talking to people and some of the lawyers and stuff, I was like, you know what? For a moment, I even got a little bit optimistic. I'm like, whoa, some of this fraud was not even like clean cut and thrown it. It was really thrown together. And I don't think people understand if they had listened in the first place, it would have been a landslide. And because fraud only works if it's close.
Exactly. Are we starting the live now? Can we jump into the convo?
Oh yeah, we're live. We can definitely jump in now.
Awesome. Yeah, well, the number one, it should have never been this close. I keep saying that. Secondly, when we were talking about doing better outreach for Black Americans, they laughed. They said it didn't need to be done. They said Trump didn't need Black voters to win. And ding, 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 lo and behold, who is the voting bloc? He needed to pull him through. It was Black voters. And they came out strong. They flexed hard for Biden and Harris. Trump did well in terms of getting an additional 4% from 2016, but he could have had 15, 20, 25% easily with the strategies that Sonny brought, the strategies I brought. I mean, we were ready. We were ready to go to the ground and really get this thing moving, but we had to combat Brexit. We had to combat the stereotypes. We had to combat the racism. I mean, we had to get conservatives on board with the whole idea that these talking points aren't working. So that took a whole 3 to 4 years of nonsense. And now people are finally like, maybe we should have listened. So what can we do? All we can do is pivot at this point. And people are wasting their time, trying to prevent the steal, stop the steal. And I'm just like, that's a waste of time. But if they want to keep, I guess it's just a new grift. I guess it's them fundraising still.
It most definitely is that they want to get that bag and they'll do whatever they got to.
Yeah, that's too bad because Georgia is down here. They need to win the Senate or hold control over it. So anyways, we will see what happens. January 2021 will be very interesting.
Honestly, I'm hoping to God that it changes. I'm praying.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got to speak to Kevin Daniels.
Yes.
Hashtag free Kevin Daniels. Please. Please include us in some of the stuff y'all talked about.
Yeah, certainly. So on Monday, I had a chance to meet with the RNC's director of Black Outreach, Kevin Daniels. It was such an honor to chat with him. He came by and we just had this really great discussion about what the conscious conservative movement wants to do. And he gave me some pointers. I'm not going to divulge everything, but basically what I shared on Twitter class was that there's a way for folks to get involved right now if they want to help with the Senate runoff. We also talked about basically how certain organizations on the outside of the machine, and by the machine, I'm talking about the RNC machine, on organizations outside that machine, we don't have very many of them. We had Black Voices for Trump, we had Brexit, and that's all I can name. Those are the only ones I know. Whereas the DNC, they have like 30, 40, 50 organizations that hit the ground hard. And for that reason, you see so much voter registration happening. You just see people really mobilizing on the ground. So we talked about that. He was sharing how the RNC really needs to start putting some power and backing underneath organizations that are actually trying to bring a conservative message to certain communities. And my thing is we need to have political options. We need to have political competition. So we chatted about that. And we'll be in contact more because the RNC is out here for the Senate runoff. They really want to mobilize in that perspective. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great conversation. I learned a lot about the machine. I learned a lot about what they do in terms of throwing support to people who choose to run for office. So for individuals like the more famous folks who tried to run for Congress and lost big time.
Yeah.
The RNC is only going to support a candidate that they feel will win. That's the only time you're going to see them make some major investment into that campaign. And Sunny Johnson has been talking about how that's problematic for her. And I completely agree. Some people are just really great. They just don't have the marketing. They don't have the budget. They don't have everything else to make things happen. So if the RNC came through and really helped and support, they could maximize work in the movement. We have to continue building. So obviously we've built a lot. We've built a lot of momentum. We've caught the RNC's attention because of our connections. But now it's just about increasing and growing much, much more and just seeing what that will look like in the near future. Really for 2022 and 24, we want to see what we can do in terms of making that biggest impact. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, that's Um, with everything going on, and we've been watching how people react online, and it's sort of a mix of mental breakdowns and absolute denial, and then
Yeah,
of course from the left, man, it's just straight crip walking all over my
I know.
damn page. Everybody's so happy with the, and I'm watching people. I hate the political thuggery when people flex.
Yeah,
They flex for parties more than they flex for ideas and principles. And
yeah. It's
I
sad.
know you were at the Solutionary Summit,
Yes, I
and that,
love them.
yeah, we need more of that. We need more talks about solutions. And
Yeah, I look forward to the one that's going to happen in 2021. Maj is going to host it in Miami, Florida, I believe. So that's going to be fire. But yeah,
wow,
we see the left, we see Democrats, we see even some quiet conservatives who are pretty happy about the results. And I'm just like, congratulations. You guys put up a good fight. You guys did what you had to do on the ground. Tip my hat to Stacey Abrams. I mean, when we found out what she did in terms of registering almost 1 million new voters just in
yeah,
Georgia, that woman flipped the state. She
I was
flipped.
worried. I'm when I saw her run originally, and
Mhm.
same with AOC.
Yeah.
AOC, Stacey Abrams, and Elon Omar worried
Hmm.
me for other reasons, not the same reasons as Stacey Abrams
Hmm.
and AOC, but and Patrice Cullors,
Hmm.
she scares me on a different level too, because they I don't think people realize that all of our presidents, save Bush,
Hmm.
both Bushes,
Hmm.
um, were in touch with the culture in one way or another,
Hmm.
and they were able to ride that into office. And Barack Obama, he made everybody feel like they were a part of his family, whether you
Yeah.
loved them or you
Yeah.
hated them. They did every YouTube challenge. They made you feel like you were
Yeah.
a part of his family. They were welcoming, and that dude could sell anything to
I know.
anybody. You're
I
like
know.
he could sell J's to a friggin' quadruple amputee.
Yeah.
He's got it. And then
Yeah.
you look at Trump. Trump was already a part of the culture before he
Yeah.
even ran,
Yeah.
and he was standing on a stage of what 19 other people that ignored culture altogether.
Right.
And then you had Bill Clinton playing saxophone, which I'm just gonna say that's the sexiest damn instrument ever is saxophone,
Yes.
and he played on the nightly shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had Ronald Reagan, who was a part of the culture before he ran.
Mhm.
So I don't think people, if they had been listening to what Sonny had been saying this entire time, you can't ignore culture and expect
Right.
that you're going to make inroads. I mean, we look at
Right.
the pro life movement right now,
Mhm.
and they got into Hollywood, they got into the movies, they started to
Mhm.
tug on people's heartstrings, and they started to change the way people think about the topic. And
Mhm.
that's the way that you do it. And I think if more people start to come down here to where the real conversations are happening,
Mhm.
that maybe we'll stop talking to each other like the punditry mafia, the talking point
Yeah.
mafia.
I don't know how the talking point prophets are even still relevant today because they have walked conservatives down into this pitfall, this cesspool of sewer dunk. Okay, I've
Oh
been
yeah,
using that phrase. I don't understand how they are still relevant at this point because they have lied to conservatives for so long, pumping their heads up with all of this ego, like this is in the bag, and no, Trump doesn't need black voters, and yeah, I'm like, that's like saying a business doesn't need any kind of customers. It
yeah,
has to function. You
yeah,
need patrons, you need buyers, you need consumers. Well, you need voters in
yeah.
order to win an election. So for them to run their mouth like that, the fact that we even had to have that kind of conversation in the public virtual space, that tells you how behind the times they are. And they're still
Oh, I think we
live
froze.
supporting. It's a sad thing, but oh, it froze.
Yeah.
We're
No, no,
there.
we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I honestly don't know what conservatives are going to do. I've been telling them they're going to have to choose. They have to make a decision how they want their Republican Party to be represented this next round. Because if they go in with the same tactics, they're going to get slaughtered every time. There's no life support whatsoever. The party is dead.
I love my boxing analogies. So
Hmm.
trying to do what the conservatives have been doing would be like playing defense on a regular basis. I don't care if you're Floyd Mayweather,
Yeah.
arguably the greatest defensive fighter ever. You cannot stand 12 rounds in a ring against a rookie fighter, not be able to throw a punch, and
Hmm.
hope that you can dodge and block and not get knocked out.
Yeah.
Even if you're standing at the end of the damn match, you lost on points, which is what
Yeah.
happened right now. They didn't deliver a knockout for Trump. What
Yep.
they got him on was they got him on points, and
Yep.
points strategically placed in states. And while we were making fun of Stacey Abrams for being fat and being
Hmm.
obnoxious and not conceding the race, she was on the ground working
Hustling,
and
getting it.
trying to do the same damn thing and saying, "Oh, we don't need your vote, but hey, come vote for me." That, that's like trying to win a world championship without training or without stepping
Yeah.
in the ring. Like
Yeah.
who takes that tactic? I wouldn't sell a car to somebody by
Hmm.
insulting them
Hmm.
like I could be giving you the best damn car in the world. I could be giving you a Ferrari for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
But you come on the lot and the first thing I do is make fun of you for driving a Toyota Prius.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna buy a car from me. It doesn't matter if I'm giving you a car for free. You
Exactly.
left before I finished insulting you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we act like humanity doesn't matter in politics, and sometimes conservatives get upset. They're like, Felicia, you're not very nice. Well, how do you think the majority of Black people feel when you say these
Mhm.
dumb things to them? If you don't like Felicia, and I'm
Yeah.
on your side, and I'm telling you, quit being stupid. Well, guess what? You keep insulting 90% of a powerful voting bloc. And
Yeah.
unless you pivot, unless you start to make this product, which we call conservatism, conservative politics, unless you make this thing attractive, forget it. They are not going to buy it. They're not going to sell their humanity. They're not going to come to this side. They will continue to vote Democrat, and they'll figure it out how they can dominate over there. They did that this past election. They had the ADOS movement putting pressure on these candidates and saying we're not going to give you our vote unless you do what we want. So they know how to flex power, and they flexed hard. And so if you want to see some kind of competition, if you want to see conservatism continue to grow and have any kind of foothold, then they have to pivot. There's no other strategy. There's no other way around it. People have to pivot.
Yeah. For people that don't seem to understand, I'm not me particularly. I'm not speaking about the Brexit movement out of ignorance.
Hmm.
This last one in DC, I took it upon myself after speaking to George Farrell,
Hmm.
the head of the Black PAC,
Hmm.
the Black Political Action Committee. For anyone who doesn't know who it is, who his sole purpose was to try and get all these young Black, Hispanic, and Asian candidates, over 60 candidates elected.
Mm.
And for anyone who had any doubt, the only one that supported these candidates was Donald Trump.
Mm.
Everybody else, the GOP, fought against them speaking at the RNC.
Mm.
They fought against them being on stage. They wouldn't support their campaigns. They wouldn't friggin' help with an ad. I suggested the simplest damn ad ever. And it
Hmm.
was basically, yeah, the Hollywood did the whole we need to come together, and they all say half a phrase, and it's
Hmm.
all in black and white with somber piano playing in the
Yeah.
background, and then they just go from person to person. I was like, hey, do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Do the exact same thing. Troll them with their own tactics.
Right.
But,
Right.
but the RNC couldn't back them, not even once. I'm
What a
like, this was your moment. You
shame.
want it, y'all were saying, hey, we're not racist. But
Yeah.
then when you had the chance to be like, hey, look, we got 60 candidates. We got the most diverse freshman class we've
Yeah.
ever had. Hey, people, come check this out. See why these people are running over here.
Yeah.
Because not all of them used the slave plantation talking points.
Right.
And I went to Blexit, and when I was there, I met a whole bunch of people that were
Mm-hmm.
first time goers. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, I met the grifters. They all had their YouTube channels.
Yeah.
They all took pictures, and they had their Instagram live streams going the entire time,
Yeah.
and they were rowdy and obnoxious. And you know what it is? What it is? Young kids are going to act young.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but when I was sitting there talking to people, I ran into a lot of people that it was their first time going, and
Okay.
they were expecting something completely different. They were
Okay.
expecting to get there and get a different argument than they saw watching the rally, that they were going to get
Mm.
weapons to fight this ideological war with, and
Mm.
that's not what they got. They had a great
Wow.
time. It was a
Yeah.
great rally. It was like a party,
Yeah.
but that's not what they got. So what I saw half a movement. I saw,
Mm.
hey, everybody leave there, but
Mm.
don't go get on Noah's Ark. Just
Yeah.
don't stay where you're at. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so you're leading an exodus, but you have no idea where the exodus is going to? What we gonna walk through the desert for 40 years?
Yeah.
Are we doing this all over again?
Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, we've been I don't want to say exposing because they kind of revealed themselves, but we've been saying like these you can't present just, walk away or just Blexit. Well, Blexit to what? Walk away to what?
Mhm.
What is the switch? What is the ideological arguments? Is it just, vote for Trump? Is it
Mhm.
vote for Republican? What is the mission? I'm very clear when it comes to the conscious conservative movement. I'm telling folks, I'm about dual domination. Black Americans deserve political options. We deserve political competition. We deserve these choices. So folks know that I am on the, what would they say, like the center right? I'm on the over here on the right. My philosophy is very firm. So what is Blexit's philosophy? What is Walkaway's philosophy? Well, it's Trump.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when Trump doesn't win?
Yeah.
And that was the question they didn't want to entertain because they felt like Trump was in the bag. And I said, no, he is not. He
Yeah.
has to be the popular president in order for him to secure this victory.
Yeah.
Oh, they dragged me, they smeared, whatever. Well, Felecia was right. And
Yeah.
I was right because I read the data. I was in tune with the people. I studied the qualitative research. I looked at the numbers and I said, if we pivot right now, we can see this massive move. Well, they'll be calling me, a lot more will be
Yeah.
calling me in 2021. But that was it. If you don't give, like a lot of the young ones who started with Blexit in 2018 have kind of moved over to the conscious conservative movement. And the reason for that is because of the substance. We always talk solutions. We are always preaching about everybody else getting active and involved. So it's not like Felicia's the superstar, everybody else bow down to her, which is what you kind of see on that side. It's like, no, I need to know what your gifts are. I need to know how you can contribute because I'm not going to be in this thing forever. You're not keeping me here.
I'm up here in New Hampshire, and
uh,
I moved back up here after leaving California, and I was in San Diego, and it's one of those areas the cost of living got too high, and you spin
yeah,
your tires.
yeah.
But one of the things I saw was the worship of Candace Owens, the worship
Mhm.
of Donald Trump. Some
Yeah,
of y'all are going to have to look in the mirror and figure out who you are without these people.
yeah,
It's like that joke after summer's over and everyone's got to put their clothes back on. Some of y'all are going to have to find a personality. Well,
yeah,
guess what? The party's over. Some of y'all are going to have to find a personality.
yeah.
And it's not that both of these movements are bad, because Donald Trump, while he may say the wrong thing on a constant basis, his
Mhm.
actions land pretty damn
Yeah,
conservative in,
yeah.
like, the Lincoln Project and all of them. They are that old lily white Republican movement that didn't want to
Mhm.
sit there. They wanted the status quo to stay the same. They wanted to make
Yeah,
that money. They wanted the party to continue. And then you have this guy come in, this bull in a china shop, and he just
yeah,
wrecked all the damn toys. And now it's all over. And I'm looking at Candace Owens and I saw something in her that I'm not gonna lie. At first it gravitated, it was the energy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And at first I didn't even get pissed at the slave plantation talking point. I was like,
Mhm.
it's the GOP.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, she kind of started out getting red pilled by like Larry Elder and that
Mhm.
whole ilk. It's not like she got red pilled by like Sonny Johnson, and at the same
Right.
time she got red pilled. So
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't understand that, I'm a lifelong conservative.
Mhm.
My parents are lifelong conservatives.
Right.
I'm a veteran from a family of veterans, from
Mhm.
families of veterans. For
Yeah.
140 years, we have been conservative
Yeah.
veterans, and we are all about doing the work ourselves.
Right.
And when you get red pilled, there's a whole journey that has to take place. There's a
Right.
first you got that, oh yeah, it's fun to be over here and have that party.
Yeah.
But then you got to go and you got to get that intellectual argument. You got to be able to
Yeah.
understand where the culture and the intellect start to match up so that you can be able to have conversations with people on a
Yeah.
different level than just talking points, because
Yeah.
talking points aren't designed for us to have a conversation and change how
Right.
people think.
And
They're
that's
designed
how I
for
felt with her
debating.
coming out in 2018. I felt that same fire, I felt that same energy. I was like, I can rock with this.
Yeah.
Um, for me, the turning point was when I learned about Blexit being taken from this other Black woman. And I'm in the publishing industry. So when somebody publishes something, a website, ideas, whatever, copyright instantly goes to them. So I go into that legal mode. My mindset just automatically goes into that. And I even contacted them, like Brandon Tatum and others. And I said, you guys do know that you're taking somebody's intellectual property, right? Like, it's so easy to just change the name.
Yeah.
And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to continue supporting, and I got pushback. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, so you don't care how this is affecting a woman, a Black woman. Well, at that point, me being a fellow Black woman, I said, that's it. We're not getting down no more. So that was my breakaway. And then, I agree with you, because when it comes to folks who are red pilled, or individuals who were leftists or Democrat or whatever, they go through this phase.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, stage one of the phase is for them to, sort of admit that they were a part of some plantation. It's like their check marks. They got to go through this checklist, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I used to be a slave. Oh, everybody else is a slave. Oh, the Democrats are the real race. They got to go through this checklist in order to be qualified as an acceptable Black conservative over here. So I kind of give them that grace period, usually about 6 months.
Yeah.
After that, if you're not reading the book, I'm calling you out. We're having a long discussion, because at that point, you should be able to see that there's something fundamentally wrong with that messaging. There's something just absolutely wrong with it. So I have grace when they start off, but I'm like, you have to continue growing in this thing. Like, you need to know why conservatism is empowering. You need to know what that looks like. You need to know how you can talk and have conversations. You need to know that conservatism does not equal republicanism. You need to know all of these different things, all of these nuances. So when I saw some of the young ones like Liv and Sharice starting to grow in this knowledge, I was like, we got to support them, because they're transitioning. And I knew the second they started to transition into this growth that they were going to get a lot of pushback. So that's what we saw happening. And we can only pray that more of these young adults who are so attached to Trump and to that brand, hopefully they will continue to grow in, the actual ideological philosophy, as opposed to Trumpism. So,
I mean, hey, look, I'm not gonna lie. I voted for Donald Trump twice. I voted for George Bush. Actually, if I remember correctly, he was my first vote. I was in Iraq when Obama got elected.
okay.
I voted against him, and it wasn't because of It honestly wasn't because anything that he technically did at the time. It was
Mm-hmm.
more so because I saw how the media was treating him, and I was like,
Mm.
whoa. Because honestly, Barack Obama always said the right thing.
Yeah,
And
he
when he got asked
true.
if he was like he got asked if America would be racist for not electing him, and he said no, it'd be because I didn't articulate a vision that they could get behind. And I was like, whoa, okay, this dude is dangerous. I mean,
Yeah.
he's good. I want to see what he can do. But then I looked at the media, and the media started calling people racist. And I was like,
Mm.
this dude isn't running on his race. He never mentioned his race as a qualification for office.
Yeah.
He ran strictly on his principles and his ideas, and whether I disagree with him or not, I can
Mm-hmm.
respect that.
Yeah.
However, when I looked at what the media did, I was like, you guys are calling people racist for criticizing his ideas, ain't he? And criticizes his race. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
besides the whole birtherism, that whole
Right.
bullshit. But I was like, wait a minute, they literally just criticize his policy,
Yeah.
and you're calling him racist for criticizing his policy. This is a dangerous precedent to set. And then you see it start to
Yeah.
replay as they called John McCain racist. John McCain
Mm-hmm.
is no longer running for office. All of a sudden he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney was a racist. All of a
Yeah.
sudden he's great. You had
Yeah.
so it's like it's this playbook, and honestly, I put no stock in it anymore.
Yeah.
However, when I look at the media in general, which I see
Mm-hmm.
to be the main problem, the media crafts all of our narratives of each other.
Mm-hmm. On both
And when you
sides.
look at, on both sides, I
Yeah.
mean, Republicans, the difference is the majority of Democrats live around Black people. They live around Hispanic
Yeah.
people. They live in inner cities. So they interact with us on a regular basis. So the stereotype the media pushes out doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily resonate with them because
Yeah.
they have more personal experience to counter the
Yeah.
media narrative.
Right.
However, many conservatives who live in suburban and rural districts, states that typically
Yeah.
aren't as metropolitan populated.
Right.
Um, if you don't have that experience, you rely on the information you have. And if
Yep.
the information you have says all Trump supporters are Larry the Cable Guy or Gordon
Mm-hmm.
Gekko, for
Yeah.
anybody that still remembers Wall Street, I hope that's not too old for people. And all Black people are either babies, mamas, and criminals, or
Yep.
we're all actors, we're all
Mm-hmm.
actors, musicians, and athletes.
Yeah.
And it goes the same. You could pick any race, any demographic, and there's a stereotype. There's the
Mm-hmm.
1% at the bottom and the 1% at the top, and that's what the media runs with. And
Yep.
we end up, because there's this completely, it lacks all nuance. And
Exactly.
without that nuance, we talk past each other.
Right.
We're
And we
not
saw that
seeing
playing
human
out with
beings.
Twitter. We saw it playing out on Facebook. We saw it playing out, in just our basic interactions with folks. And so when you rely on media, and this is where I say Trump crushed it because he went backdoor and said, I'm going to just talk right to the people myself via Twitter or whatever. When you go and you just start talking directly to the people, you get their pulse.
Yeah.
That's actually why he won in 2016. So some folks were asking me, they said, Felecia, why did the polls predict Hillary Clinton would win, but we saw that Trump won? I said, because his camp actually had a strategic plan. They actually went to these states that Hillary Clinton deliberately ignored, and he went and talked to the people. He asked them, basically, what do you need? What do you want? And then they showed up.
Yeah.
Same thing for the evangelical voting bloc, which is massive. Same thing for suburban women who were attracted to whatever it is they were attracted to. He just went to the people, and that is the key. That is how a person wins. So when I said later on, that Trump had to get the popular vote, it's because now Americans had 4 years to actually absorb Trump.
Yeah.
in all of his glory.
Yeah.
Okay? We have 4 years to absorb all of this energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of Americans were like, I need to breathe. He's too much right now. We need peace. We need just some kind of sense of whatever. And that's why I kept punching on Twitter. Trump needs to sell peace. Trump needs to sell this. If
Yeah.
he wants, I kept punching that because I can get the pulse of the people because I was engaged in conversations. I was having these difficult topics in Twitter class. And any candidate who wants to run, whether it's locally, statewide, or nationally,
Yeah.
you got to know the people. You have to know what they want, and you have to be willing to deliver that. And then you have to maximize upon that. You have to get the popular vote. You have to get the most votes as possible. And Trump had a prime opportunity. Unfortunately, he left the aggressive Black outreach. He left it on the table at the very last minute. I mean, from September and October, you're talking about 60 days where they actually did aggressive Black outreach. It worked.
Yeah.
So imagine if it had been for 4 full years.
Yeah. Their
Imagine
biggest
that.
their biggest mistake was coming out with the platinum plan, and then after distancing yourselves. For people that don't understand, the Trump campaign and the White House
Mhm.
had distanced themselves from Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens
Yes.
after the live stream chimpanzees comment.
Yep.
Okay. After those comments, where I don't care if you think you can justify it, I don't care if you think there's logic in the plantation talking points, or saying they're acting like animals, or saying that they are animals. Stop.
Right.
Listen, these words have a history. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you can justify it in your mind. If you call me the N word and
Yes.
you think you can justify it, I promise you my fist will meet your jaw before you can get it out of your damn mouth.
Yes.
That is what happened. The
Yes.
Trump campaign walked away, and then right after he came out of lockdown for coronavirus, Candace Owens came back to the White House.
Yes.
I'm
And
sorry, I was
mad.
there, and I saw the Larry Elder was there in the park and everything, and I was there and I saw the whole thing, and I can tell you right now, it was unproductive.
Oh,
The
yeah.
platinum plan, and these people had nothing to do with the platinum plan. They didn't help make it. They didn't evangelize it. They weren't touting it. They couldn't even speak about it. They were
Yep.
not the ones getting. And the biggest failure that I saw of the Trump campaign was, you put black faces in front of black faces to talk about it, but you
Yeah.
had 3 debates and you didn't mention it. You had multiple rallies and you didn't mention it. You had
Yep.
press conferences out the wazoo and you didn't mention it.
Yep.
If it is
Exactly.
not safe enough for you to talk about in front of everybody, it's not real. It's not
Yeah.
real.
And
It's a
that's the part
dream.
that it bothered me. Like, here's the thing. I talked about it in the last chapter of my book, The 1520 Rise. I said, there's a lot of lessons we can learn from the Trump legacy as it relates to radical republicanism. I said, in the last 40, 50 years, no Republican candidate has been willing to even talk about Black anything, unless it's you're trash, you're lazy, whatever. So Trump broke that barrier. He broke that tradition. And for that reason, I give him credit. I do it. I give him credit in the book. Having said that, Trump had a golden ticket and he didn't use it, not once. And so every time they hit him up with the race topic during the debates, I have Twitter class, which is like, now it's about 35% Black. It just keeps growing because Black folks love the message.
Yeah.
I had them waiting. And we know how much Black folks don't like Trump. So for them to sit there and wait and say, okay, I'm going to listen, I'm going to give him a shot, for him not to even present that to them on the public national stage, they were like, this is a joke. So what did the left do? They ripped it.
Eric P. said he had Sonny at the White House and made the wrong choice. I completely agree. I'm not going to lie. I like some of the people that were at the White House that day too, sitting around that round table. But I didn't see that conversation going anywhere. And friend or foe, I'll give it to you when you mess up. There were a lot of people that were perfectly happy plugging their show, and then Sunny got real.
And
Sunny got real, and she gave it to him good, and let them know, dude, we're not doing okay. I don't know what you guys been told, like all these actors, rappers, athletes, stuff like that. A flower cracking out of concrete does not mean a garden is going to grow where that concrete is. All right, you still got to crack up that concrete. You got to break it up.
Exactly.
And the systemic racism that people, my description of systemic racism. Don't argue whether or not the systemic racism exists. From the perception of the people dealing with it, it exists. Stop arguing with their perception. Your experiences do not negate the experiences of another person. You can't call them a damn liar. You need to understand who you're talking to and then go from there. And this systemic racism is 100 years of entrenched progressivism. And this came from an era when the Democrats were our enemy and were not the party for Black people. This came during Jim Crow. This came during Reconstruction. This came before, when Republicans had just left us. Left us. If you're going to speak to Black people, you need to know all the history, not skip 150 years to the point that you like. Okay?
Exactly. And I think that at some point, individuals like Pastor Scott, whom I love, he's always trolling Twitter class, but in a good way.
He's my next guest. Pastor Darrell Scott, he's going to be my next guest.
Oh, man.
He already said he would.
I can't wait to meet him in person. But, he at some point really began to pay attention to Twitter class and Sunny's Corner. And he was pretty much one of my first contacts to the White House. So in his paying attention, he brought Sunny Johnson to the White House and got her at the table. And I mean, we got to love that. We have to respect it.
Shout out to Sunny. Shout out to Sunny. Patriot XM channel 125, Sunny's Corner, Saturday at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes. So she just brought it as it was supposed to be. And she gave the option. She said, if you present it this way, they will listen. She has her own way of saying things. Yep. So they chose the losing strategy because it was comfortable, because it's what they know. It's familiar. And because they chose a losing strategy, Trump lost. That's just it.
Now let's skip to the whole celebrity dynamic that people don't seem to be getting. You had Ice Cube, and you had 50 Cent, and you had Lil Wayne, and you had I don't really want to Lil Pump. Pump. Is it? He's got like 2 songs. I'm sorry, but man, you had all these Black men coming. Regardless of the profession of the Black men, every single one of these men are businessmen. Damn near all of them have a side hustle. Damn near all of them produce music and do movies and stuff. In addition to having their own label, they, like Donald Trump, are their own brand. They came to the White House to express their concerns, and Trump, being the celebrity that he is, being the businessman that he is, game recognizes game. He talked to other businessmen. And say what you want, but the fact is, the culture will never follow Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams and Larry Elder. They ignore the culture altogether. They act like they're above it. That is not going to change things. They may get after the culture moves, they may start to seek out the intellectual argument. And every single one of those men can make the intellectual argument. However, intellect alone does not win the day.
Right. And that's what Sunny preaches every Saturday on Sunny's Corner. What I do is I bring the spiritual teachings to the table. And I say, listen, if I sow seed of hatred, why am I expecting a harvest of love? That's not how these laws work.
Taking me to church.
I do. And mostly because, and in 2021, I'll do a lot more of this, but I know I'm talking to Christian conservatives a lot. I
Mhm.
know that they are in my space and they have their own, we have our own issues to confront, our own racism as it relates to religion we have to deal with. So I bring that portion to it and I say, we can't do things the way we have been doing them. We have to do things God's way so we can get God's results. And what we witnessed these last few months as we saw this aggressive Black outreach, we saw what happens when people treat people like humans.
Yeah.
Trump did not approach them and say, hey, how you doing, chimpanzee? How's it going? He didn't say
Yeah.
that to Cube. He didn't say that to any of them. And if he did, well, we would have saw the evidence of that.
Yeah.
So it's like we saw the radical republicanism. That's how I'm going to label it.
Yeah.
And we saw what can happen when one leader, when one Republican candidate makes a concerted effort to reach the culture and to reach and to try and bring the intellect and all that together. It's a beautiful thing. But because he went back to the sewer dung, because he went back to the person who pushed all of this drama in the first place, he lost. And
Yeah.
at that point, I said, I'm done. I cannot do this again. I can't go through this.
Yeah.
And so all you can do is present the solutions. All you can do is present the ideas, and they make that choice. Now, I'll say this, they're on high alert. And they're looking to see who's
Oh
going
yeah.
to bring some really great ideas. And I'm like, I need Sonny Johnson at the forefront. I need
Yeah.
her on all of the right-wing mainstream outlets. I need to see
She
her face
needs. She.
everywhere.
Well, it looks like those right wing outlets are going to be Newsmax and Breitbart and One
Yeah.
America because Fox, I don't know what the hell they thought they were doing. They just shot. If your demographic is conservatives, you do not shoot yourself in the foot by
Mm-hmm.
directly going against your own demographic. It's the dumbest thing on the planet, which is
Yeah.
why, which for people that don't seem to understand, this is exactly why people that
Mm-hmm.
black faces
Yeah.
that have nothing good to say about black culture or the
Yeah.
black community will never get through to the black community. You
Yeah.
cannot diss us 9 to 5
Right.
and expect it 6 p.m. or on Sunday to be able to walk into church and
Yeah.
friggin' speaking in tongues and dancing the aisle. It's not happening. We ain't accepting it. It ain't cool.
Man, I
And
I know what you
looking at everything going on, and I'm sitting here like, one of the things I noticed is there's a lack of history that
mean. Hmm.
is known in the conservative movement,
Yeah.
specifically Black history, and I can't knock conservatives for it. I understand why Black History Month exists. It was
Hmm.
because they needed something tangible at the time
Hmm.
to actually say that they achieved something. I get it.
Yeah.
The times of the times, it is how it is. However, Black history is American history, needs to be integrated
Right.
into all of American history wherever it's relevant, wherever it had an impact. It needs to be there because people not knowing it is
Yeah.
a travesty, and only
Yeah.
knowing the pieces of it that people are willing to present to you is a travesty. And
Yeah.
I look at all the conservatives in our movement, and I'm seeing a whole lot of conservatives that don't know our founding ideologies. They don't know
Hmm.
what the country was built on. They don't, and because they don't know our founding ideologies, they can't evangelize conservatism. Because they
Exactly.
don't know the enemy or the opposition's founding ideologies, they can't give a comparison between conservatism and leftism
Right.
and progressivism.
Right.
And that poses a serious problem.
Yeah.
That's so you're either all sword and no shield or all
Yeah.
shield and no sword. Either
Yeah.
way, you're not ready for battle. And that's an issue.
Exactly. Exactly. And so what we're going to do, and then I got to go soon. I got to work on this client's project. But
Mhm.
what we're going to do walking into 2021, number one, my block is fierce. So anybody who keeps pushing these talking points and saying nonsense, I just tell them, you can't come with us. You're
Yeah.
not ready for this next level because they're serious. So we're going to be doing that. In 2021, we're going to start aggressive on the ground, just talking to the people. I need to know the aversion that Black Georgians and others have towards
Yeah.
the Republican Party. Like, I need to understand and absorb all of their stories. And then from there, we're going to grow in terms of developing new arguments that will help individuals to evangelize this message most effectively. And in 2022, we are going to launch the first great debate, because I want Black and progressivism on the same page, on the same
Yeah.
table, and just, duking it out. I want them to see, like, and have those options. So we're moving forward in that direction. We're going to be working with individuals who want to run for office. To the best of my ability, I'm going to help them develop communication strategies, and also learning more about how the machine functions. Like, I really need to learn that one so I can break it down for the people. And so we're moving in that direction. I was prepared for the Biden-Harris ticket. I've been preaching, like, you guys got to pay attention to them because they're growing,
Yeah.
So I was prepped for that. On one hand, I'm saddened for beloveds who are just disappointed, but I'm like, okay, this is our opportunity to do things right. We have to go through an entire reformation, an entire complete revival of all of these ideologies and how we're going to present it. If we don't, we're never going to see any kind of victory, because on the far left, they are growing. And even right now, Democrats are trying to separate themselves from the far left because they don't like the message of socialism. So you have that war taking place. Well, Sonny's talking about a civil war that's going to happen in the GOP, and I have no clue what that looks like. So everybody pay attention to Sonny this next year.
I could tell you, it looks like I'm going to be kicking some people's asses, because I am going to be running for office in this next election.
Awesome.
I don't even care if I win. I don't even care if I win. If I get in front of a microphone, I just if I get in front of a microphone, it's going to be real. And it's just because I want the ultra vanilla friggin' conservatism, that weak beta male conservatism. I want it to fall off. It needs to go off into a cave and die a slow, horrible death. It's over. It's done with. And I want the political fanboy shit to be done with too. All of that's got to go. And I want to define terms before we end up closing out here today. So Republicans are a function of the party. They are politicians. They are your entrenched career politicians. Okay. Conservatives are people who believe in the principles and the ideas of conservatism. Then you have the far right. These are your activists. Okay. These are your far right activists. And in both parties, you have the punditry. And that punditry class, sometimes they're a function of government, sometimes they're the far right, sometimes they're just conservatives with a platform. And you need to be able to differentiate. And on the left, I define Democrats the same way. Democrats are a function of government. They're career politicians. They're entrenched. Then you have your activists. That's your Patrice Cullors. That's the head of Black Lives Matter. That's the head of the LGBTQ. I don't know.
Those are called the outside organizations of the machine. The DNC is a machine. The RNC is a machine. Then there are outside organizations. So on the left, they have Black Lives Matter. They have Stacey Abrams' organization. They have the Yang Gang. They have these orgs that are on the ground. But go ahead.
And differentiate between them and just liberals or natural progressives. These are average, everyday voters. These are the people you can talk to. Okay. These are the people that do not identify themselves as socialist, Marxist, whatever. They don't rock the friggin' black flag of Antifa. They're not going out friggin' getting involved in shit. They're normal, average, everyday voters that typically believe in the cause. These are the people you can have a conversation with. These are the people you can win. And in the center, you have people that have left both parties, and that number is growing. The last stat I saw was about 30%
Mhm.
identifying as Democrat, 30% identifying as Republican, and 40% of the country identifying as independent, and typically leaning one way or the other
Right.
based on what party they happen to leave and
Right.
vacate. And
Right.
right in the center of that, that's why you see the Libertarian Party statistically starting to grow its numbers, despite the fact
Mhm.
that they can't get a large electoral vote yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we
And
have.
they are literally expats of the two-party system, and they don't like what they see on either side. They don't
Mhm.
like the talking points, because us constantly having conversations like the punditry
Yeah.
is unproductive, and we're at each other's throats. And anyone with common sense steps back and goes, "You guys are all crazy. Why would I
Yeah.
want to be a part of any of this?
Yeah.
Both parties are bunk half the
Yeah.
time." And for anyone who thinks they're not, that these parties are way far from each other, the party establishment, the Republicans and the
Mhm.
Democrats, not the voters, but the
Right.
Republicans and the Democrats are very, very
Yeah.
similar. They
They are
use
the
the
same
same
practically.
tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally, it's you're both political thugs. You just rock different colors depending on where
Right.
you happen to be at the time. And if you
Right.
needed any evidence of that, look at the Lincoln Project. These
Yeah.
guys were 20, 30-year Republicans that thought it was better to go help out Joe Biden with
Mhm.
the exact opposite of conservative principles,
Yeah.
and they thought that would somehow help their cause.
Yeah.
Like that, it's, if you're a Republican and you can have a battle within the party to see who's going to end up with
Mhm.
ultimate supremacy, ultimate power within the party.
Yeah.
It's completely different to be like, nope, we're going to tear it
Yeah.
all down. We're going to burn it all down. I'm going to back that side.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hopefully there's a country we can come back to later. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of times when I was doing Twitter class, some conservatives thought I was of that same Lincoln Project spirit. Like, oh, Felicia's angry at Trump. That means she's going to go vote for Biden. I said, I don't want that trash candidate either. I said, no, my vote purchased his leadership. So
Yeah.
I want the service I paid for.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run to the other side because they don't know Felecia. They don't know me in that space.
Yeah.
This is my space. This is my area. This is the party I've been voting for since I turned 18. So I'm going to make them do what my vote is making them do. Does that make sense? And I
Yeah.
think that's how conservatives need to rock. They need to say, I'm not telling them to hold back their vote, but I'm saying if you're going to vote for somebody, you better hold their feet to the fire the whole time. And the second they mess up, put that fire on their foot. They'll get back in line. And this gives the people power again. This moves folks away from thinking that somebody like Trump can be a king and can, try and enact something so stupid like patriot history. That's ridiculous. Hold that man's feet to the fire and leave our education system alone. We're trying to get rid of it. We're trying to get rid of the Department of Ed. And here he is talking about he's going to institute something like that. So
like I'm that type of
fire.
asshole that would run an insurgent campaign. I like throwing battle strategy and basic battle strategy and the art of war into politics, Machiavellian politics. The socialists did this with the Democrats. They invaded the party. They took it over. Now they are the voice of the party. Bernie Sanders said it flat out. Policies that 10 years ago would have been radical are now mainstream within the party.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that is what we're doing. We're going to make the GOP be as conservative as they pretend to be. And if you don't seem to understand that, we had 2 years. Obamacare could have been gone. DACA could have been gone. The borders we could have had a wall built. We could have had a better immigration system where it took you 7 years maximum to immigrate here, not 17 years. Maybe if you're lucky, if you win the lottery and you don't die.
And you don't die.
It's like, we could have fixed so many issues.
Yeah.
We could have applied conservative. We could have went into these Black communities. We could have went into Hispanic communities. We could have, The Asians don't really want us in their community, so it is what it is. They have the conservative principles, and they don't care what party they
Right.
do it anathema except without a party. And
Right.
we could have brought these conservative principles. That platinum plan, I saw dripping conservatism.
Mm-hmm.
I saw straight capitalistic
Oh yeah,
entrepreneurial.
it was beautiful.
And
Had they given us more than
oh
bullet
yeah,
points?
yeah. In the black community, for anyone doesn't, before y'all start bashing hip hop, because it always happens. It just
Mhm.
it aggravates the ever living hell out of me. The top 40 hip hop songs that y'all hear on the radio all the time aren't made for us.
Mhm.
We don't have the numbers to buy that many rap albums. We don't have the numbers to have that many downloads. And we're not downloading the same song 19 fucking times. I'm like, so that's not made for us. That's made for
Yeah.
suburban white kids. Hip hop is counterculture. All
Yeah.
right. Reggaeton is counterculture. All that shit is counterculture. And it is dripping with capitalism and entrepreneurial spirit. And if you listen to the modern conscious rap that is being produced by the old 90s rappers and 80s rappers that weren't allowed to produce conscious rap back then, that
Right.
it wouldn't get airplay. These guys just produce that stuff, and it's changing the game.
Right.
And hey, Trump saw it. They messaged directly. That platinum plan, that was not messaging towards black women. That was directly towards black men. They knew exactly what they were doing. What
Yeah.
they messed up on was evangelizing it and actually speaking about it.
Yeah, they messed up on it, and Sonny kept yelling it. I kept yelling it, like, man, target these black men. Just present something that's really good and tangible to this demographic, because there's a segment within this population that hates both parties, but they want their economics protected.
Yeah.
So go and make some kind of appeal to them. And they messed up when they didn't make the platinum plan a part of the White House website. They messed up when they couldn't even tell us where, like, if you go to platinumplan.com, it's not on there.
No.
Platinumplan.org, that's not on there. So, I mean, all kinds of things were just a complete failure in that respect. But I give props to him for being willing to have that punch.
It's better than anybody else in the GOP has done for what,
for
60 years?
Yes, decades.
So I'm going to be honest. This election, as a black man, it felt like a lose-lose. You got 4 years of y'all saying Donald Trump was racist. Of everybody saying Donald Trump was racist. Then you got y'all done elected Joe Biden, a 47-year, like, this guy's been on the wrong side of every damn foreign and domestic policy ever. He's voted for every foreign war. He's voted for every big corporate bailout.
Yeah.
He's been a part of the swamp forever. He is the Swamp Thing. And if you think I don't include the GOP in that too, there, Moscow Mitch, I throw him in there. Lindsey Graham talks a damn good game like he's at a damn church sermon, but he doesn't do shit. In behind the scenes, he's being shady. Mitt Romney, I throw him in there too. The fact is, when I look at these people and I see what's going on, I have the choice between what looks like two racist guys and two parties that couldn't give a shit about me. So what I choose is the economics. And if the economics allow me to take care of my family, and it doesn't matter what else you got. If you could hate me all damn day, but if your economic policy is going to allow me to outperform you, because I will, when it comes to hustle, I'll outperform you in every way, shape, or form. If the economic plan allows me to outperform you, then that's what's going to get my vote. I'm not voting for the man. I'm voting for the policy.
And that's a different demographic. My father is the same exact way. He can get behind all of the things that might make certain voters emotional. He's like, whatever, I want to hear your policies. I want to hear those tangibles. So I can respect that. That's a segment of black male voters. And I was like, play into that. Trump didn't have to run off all the time talking about white supremacy is not whatever. They don't want to hear it. So go to the people who actually want to hear a different message
Yep.
and see what kind of results you could get. Well, he got pretty good results this last
Yeah.
time around. So um, I don't know if the GOP well, I'll put it like this. I have an idea of how they can win. I'm not delivering that until I get a check. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody right now who can pretty much appeal to that segment the way Trump has. And with all his flaws, everybody knows how much I was like throwing arrows at him these last 4 years. But still, if you can figure out what it is that people really want and you can create a package that would appeal to them, they're going to get your vote. They know how
So
to turn off the media and mainstream media. They can do that.
we got one question from Lawrence D right now. And
Okay.
it is, would it be better to start your own party for the conscious conservatives like the progressives are doing with the People's Party? I'll answer first.
Hmm.
I'll say no.
Yeah.
I'll say
I'm
no
going to say no
because
too.
right now both parties, the one thing they agree on is no third parties.
Hmm.
And you just saw that with Joe Jorgensen. I'll be completely honest. I like libertarians. I agree with them. As far as I'm concerned, if Republicans actually stuck to the Constitution like they should,
Yeah.
there would be no libertarian party because they would be more than welcome within the
Yeah.
Republican Party. If we didn't double speak out of both sides of our mouths, if
Yeah.
conservatives were actually conservative 24/7 and didn't make exceptions all the time, it was equally applied, like Sonny says, there wouldn't
Mm.
be libertarians.
Yeah.
However, I like what you say, dual domination. If we
Yeah.
walk away from the battlefield and decide, screw this, I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to go over here,
Yeah.
very much the same as people that protest by not voting at all.
Yes.
For in case you don't seem to understand that,
Yeah.
not voting at all just means it doesn't stop people from getting elected, and doesn't mean the guy that you want is going to get elected or the
Yeah.
girl that you want is going to get elected. All you did was avoid the damn battlefield. So what
Exactly.
happens is they cater as less voices are on that battlefield. 49% of the country last election, like I believe it's 49% of the country,
Yep.
didn't vote. They
Right.
didn't vote at all. So that
Right.
means 49% of the people that could have had a voice, the only way to have a voice within either party is
Mhm.
to be louder than the lobbyist. If
Exactly.
that 49% was engaged, you would have got a third party.
Yeah.
Everyone that says they hate the two-party system, that would have been your third party right there.
Yeah.
It would have happened. As far as for everyone that was pissed at both parties but still voted for both parties, you would have been able to kick out the lobbyists right there. You'd have been
Yeah.
able to pass term limits right there. You would have been
Yeah.
able to friggin' get rid of dark money in campaigns. You might
Mhm.
have been able to pass reparations, which, to be honest, I'm for 40 acres, man. I'm
Mhm.
for 40 acres. I'm not
Mhm.
big on checks. I'm not big on a lot of the other shit, but I like land as a tangible asset that constantly accrues wealth. It's a great builder of generational wealth.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people keep saying that they want to do this wealth tax, this death tax, and yes, it is a damn death tax. If you get taxed for dying, it's a damn
Yeah.
death tax.
I know. I know.
If I'm the first generation of black men trying to build up wealth in my family, and I'm trying to pass that on to my kids, you tax the fuck out of me when I die, it doesn't matter how much money I make. It's not yours. I earned it.
Right.
And when I die, that's my kids' money because I
Exactly.
earned it for them. And
Right.
I want them to build on that and pass it on to their kids.
Right.
And if I raise my kids right, like I know I am, a man does not just take care of his own. He does not
Yeah.
just take care of himself, he takes care of his family. And as you
Yeah.
get more power and more influence, you spread that community out. The difference
Exactly.
between that and progressivism, that what I just said is conservatism. I
Mhm.
voluntarily spread my community out to where I am a steward and a leader in my community, and I take care of my community. The opposite is government doing that for me, choosing to
Yeah.
force me to give up what is mine, what I worked for to provide to my family, telling
Mhm.
me what I need and what I
But they're
don't
going
need.
to distribute it to people who don't like you.
Yeah, and I'm just throwing out there, uh, any form of power to the people that does not, that has government as a go-between. There is no
Yeah.
form of government where that has ever aggregated all power within the government and then benevolently dispersed it back to the people, in which the people were like, "This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is great.
I
I'm
mean, unless
so
they're the
glad."
kingdom of God, because that's how he
Yeah,
functions. He's like, he's got all this power. He's willing to share. So unless they're coming from that perspective, I don't want anything to do with that. Now,
yeah,
to answer the person's question, the reason why I would not move in that direction is because number one, Black Americans founded the Republican Party. This is our party. These
yeah,
folks here are occupants and they
yeah,
need to be eradicated.
yeah.
That's number one. Number two, it goes back to what I've been preaching about dual domination. We
That's the
deserve to have.
establishment, people. That's the establishment. That's the establishment. Eradicate
Mhm.
the establishment. All right.
Yes,
For before any of y'all flip out and start spazzing. Get rid of the establishment.
exactly.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's cool. And secondly, dual domination is vital. We should
Yeah.
have political power. So right now, Black Americans flexed hard in this 2020 election. They're
Oh yeah.
going to feel like they have a voice and an influence in politics, and hopefully they can get whatever it is that they want. Now, obviously, they didn't feel like they could get something with the Republican Party. That's the problem. I
Yeah, it
have a
is.
personal problem with 90% of the Black voting bloc feeling like they are completely powerless politically because the Republicans are in office. I want that to
Exactly.
stop. So that's the other thing. The third thing is this: you have to have a machine. You have to have a machine that comes under you and propels you so that your voice is amplified. So when we're talking about the Libertarian Party, I know libertarians, they're cool, right?
I
But
love
do they have
Maj.
a machine?
Maj
Yeah,
is
I
great.
love them. Love them.
Yeah.
But do they have the machine? Do they have the kind of power that would elevate somebody to that platform to where they are such a voice that they can reach 49% of the rest of the population? So that's why I'm saying you can't just ignore and say I'm not going to be a part of, or we should start our own party. Well, where's that machine? Where's that money? Where's that power? Where's that influence? You're like an ant trying to dominate the whole world and thinking that it can happen. No,
Yeah.
you need the machine. So that's why I'm saying with these connections that I have right now, number one, it would be foolish for me to cut these connections off with the RNC and others and then jump over to the DNC where they don't know me at all. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to burn these bridges right here when I know that we can have this type of dual domination. So that's why the conscious conservative movement will go in and continue to tear down these ridiculous talking points and ridiculous
Yeah.
things that are preventing Black Americans from having these options. I'm going to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while Black Americans are flexing power in the Democrat Party, I support them because
Yeah.
the majority of Black Americans are conservative and moderate. So I'm like, go dominate over there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, let me see if
Pull the
we
party back towards the
can
damn center.
they pushed them, they pulled them all the way back. But that's what I'm
Oh
saying.
yeah.
They flex really hard. They flex so hard. So my thing is, let me see if there's a way that the conscious conservative movement can reach people, Black people who don't traditionally engage in politics. Is there a way we can increase those numbers so that we have 20 million voters who are Black and voting as opposed to just 15 million?
Yeah.
Or do you see what I'm saying? Now we have dual domination. Now we flex so much power. And because generally Black Americans are conservative and moderate, we're always going to get something, no
Yeah.
matter who's in office.
For
So
anybody that doesn't understand what dual domination is, you see it in suburbia every single election cycle. The liberals typically run the cities, and that's damn near universal. Doesn't matter whether it's in a red state or a blue state.
right.
And if you run, and all politics are local politics. So a one-off solution at the state level doesn't make it past the city level unless the people in the city are okay with it. And
Right.
that goes the same thing at the town level. Your liberal policies at the state level, my police chief will tell you to go pound sand if you try to take my damn guns. All
Right.
right. So they're all politics are local, but it's really, really simple. All right.
Right.
We fight over suburbia. Both parties fight over suburbia. That is where the battleground takes place every single election, and they flip flop. They
Yep.
flex, and they
Yep.
flex hard. And the Karens be out marching. All right, they will tear shit down.
Yeah. Well,
And the black Karen, and in
I
the
could
inner
talk
city, the
about
black Karens, the Keishas will do it
that's
too.
what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say, because folks are still thinking that suburbia just means white. No, it
No,
doesn't. It is
yeah,
now, it's black too. You go to Atlanta and you
yeah,
see it. So the whole notion that, white people are the
yeah.
ones, in the
That's
middle.
that cotillion club right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's the doctors and the lawyers and the builders and the contractors. That's that beautiful, I swear it's like beautiful jazz music. Every
yeah.
time I see it, it warms the soul. It's beautiful.
Exactly. So we have to have the machine. We have a right to go in and say, you don't get to speak about this voting block like this anymore. We voted for you. We can vote you out. And that's not just with the president. That's not just with Congress. That even goes down to determining who's going to be our GOP chairpersons in these different levels. And that's a lesson that I hope Sonny really drills in, because I was just made privy to it. But these two machines, these are our political powers. This is what we can flex. And if we can keep things in context, in terms of not worshiping politics, but making it work for us and our
Yeah.
economics, we're going to just do great things over the next 100 years.
Yep. We need to drop fanboy politics. It's
Right.
devoid of all reasoning. It
Right.
it makes you fall asleep at the wheel, and then you cannot hold your politicians accountable. You need
Exactly.
to stop being fanboys. Look at them dispassionately. You should not be out there. Oh my God, Trump is fantastic. Oh my God, Stacey Abrams is fantastic. No,
Mhm.
they're both politicians. Look at them like politicians. If it's
Yep.
advantageous for any of them, they will lie to you. If it's
Right.
advantageous for their wallets, they will shirk you. It
Right.
is just,
Right.
it's how it works. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's DC.
Right.
It's the difference between having a leader that or you know what? Politicians always work in their own best interests.
Hmm.
A representative will work in your best interest, whether it's in his best interest or not. All right.
Exactly.
So that's voting for term limits, which the majority of the and I don't mean like a small majority, like 51%. I mean like 89% of the country thinks term limits is a damn good idea.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
friggin' 89% thinks that's friggin' awesome. That 30,
Yeah.
40-year politicians is a bad thing. This should
Yeah.
not be something that we should still have to fight for our representatives over. Get in their office, blow up their damn phone lines, and make them acquiesce to our demands. That's
And
it.
they'll
Flex
listen.
your power.
Exactly. They'll listen with enough people down, with their knee on the neck. They'll listen. They'll bend. I mean, it took us a long time to get Trump's camp to admit that they need a Black agenda, but we got the discussion right. So if two women can raise hell on Twitter and in the airwaves, I mean, imagine what thousands of voices,
Oh yeah.
pounding at the pavement. Imagine what that can do. So that's why I say, I'm going to urge folks, don't feel like you got to go and start a third party, because that thing is just a beast, and trying to get that up and running. Use what you have. What is the arsenal that you have right now, and flex
Yeah.
hard?
I'd say, to be completely honest, constitutional conservatives that are trying to take back the conservative party,
Yeah.
or what was the conservative party at one point in time, and libertarians got a lot more in common. If
Yep.
you really wanted to make you really want to flex like I said, battle strategy to politics, run an insurgent campaign,
Yeah.
jump into the conservative party, pull it back towards the Constitution. And if you
Yeah.
feel the need to still have a third party, after there's enough of you at the state,
Yeah,
local, and federal level in
right.
office, all of you split off and identify as libertarians all at the same time. All of a
That's a good
sudden,
strategy.
you get your federal funding, you have your party. There's nobody that can deny the power that you possess, and there's no one that can deny your seat at the table. And
Exactly.
like, to be completely honest, if you look at things different, if you stay standing inside of the box and expecting things to change, you're gonna be sorely disappointed.
Exactly. And that's what happened. So I'm excited for 2021, and the movement continues to grow. I am always grateful to the Lord for favor. I'm like, Lord, you got my name
God
circling
bless.
out here.
Yep. God
So,
is good
yeah,
all the time.
all the
All right.
time.
All right. So I'm gonna let you go. I will see you in the Twitterverse,
Yeah.
and I'll see you getting your block on. All
All
right.
right.
So
Thank you.
don't
I'll
be
see
hopping in coaches' mentions and starting shit.
you. Not today.
All
Not today. Okay, then take care.
right. God bless.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. That was Coach Felecia Killings, founder and author, multiple time author, creator of the Conscious Conservative Network, of which I am a member. Um, as we gave many shout outs during the episode, go check out Hotep Jesus, go check out Sonny Johnson on Saturday at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on channel 125 Sirius XM. Go check out Maj Toure. He's doing great work over there in Black Guns Matter. Um, all right, check out Uncle Hotep and Pod Wasted podcast, and there are plenty more. And as far as a respectable mention, Teslin Figaro at Straight Shot No Chaser.